This is one of our favorite segments. It's time for our Cult Book Club. We are reading The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I hope everyone is reading along with us and you guys are actually making the time to get the pages. I know we're reading a lot of pages. I know it is a lot. But these habits are so good and so fruitful. So we just finished Habit 2 and Habit 3 in the book. And so I just wanted to do something a little differently today. I just kind of want to talk about some of Stephen Covey's main points in the book. So we're starting off with Habit 2. The habit is begin with the end in mind. And I love how Stephen Covey starts the chapter off with that he challenges the viewer to close their eyes and imagine that they go to a funeral of one of their loved ones. And as they're pulling up to the funeral, they see a lot of friends, family, and as you go up to the casket, you realize, you see yourself and you realize that you're at your own funeral. And so you take a seat, and there are 4 people that go up to speak at your funeral. There's someone from your family, your spouse, a coworker, and I'm trying to think of what the other one is, and someone from a community, something from a community involvement, if it's your church, a sports team, something of that nature. And he asks, what would you like them to say at your funeral? So you listen to all their remarks. And then he asks the question to the reader, if you died in 3 months, would people say those things about you? Would people say those things about you? And I thought that it was a great, paradigm shift or a great way to just to look at life. And he challenges you to actually write out who would those 4 people be and what are they actually going to say about you? And this is the concept of begin with the end in the mind. He also talks about having a personal mission statement and actually writing out that it's very crucial for every single one of us to know where we're going, what we want to achieve, and writing those things out. If you want to be a better listener, if you want to be a more loving father, if you want to be a more loyal friend, all of those things, and actually writing those out so you know what you're striving for, and so that every day that you make sure that you are focusing on the end in mind. There's also another principle for any business owners out there that I really appreciated from this chapter, and it was the leadership management to creations concept that he has. And he talks about how there's a difference between a leader and a manager. And we experience this very heavily with our show, with what we're doing. And a leader's job is really to have that vision and mission of the show. And a manager's job is to figure out the best way to execute it. And so he talks about an example of a manager is kind of the guy that's in the jungle that's like cutting down trees and trying to figure out how to cut down the trees as fast as possible. And a leader is someone who's on top of a tree ways ahead, looking out, saying if we're in the right jungle, we're in the wrong jungle. And I thought that was such a great way to look at the difference between leadership and managers. And so for any business owners out there that's following along with this book, that was one of my favorite concepts. And then there was Habit 3, which is put first things first. And basically the concept is just be effective and not focus about being busy. And I think so many of us get stuck on that. We are constantly thinking that we're being productive or proactive if we just are constantly doing things. But that's not always the case. So time management is just so important when trying to be effective and not busy. So here he has a great time management system that he created. And it has the urgent, the non-urgent, and then down here we have not important, and at the top we have important. And really focusing on quadrant 2, that we should be focusing on the important, non-urgent tasks, which is prevention, which is recreation, planning, relationship building, and staying away from the other categories where busy work and, working on some phone calls are not necessarily the most important things that we could be doing with our day. And so anything that when you're working on time management, really focusing on where am I going to be effective and am I achieving what I need to do with beginning the end in mind. And so that's really the basis of Habit 2, Habit 3. These are some phenomenal habits that I'm really working hard to incorporate more in my life. I think Habit 3 is one of the habits that I don't incorporate the most, and I'm really excited to work more on that. Anyone watching, please feel free to tweet us what your favorite habit has been or what your favorite points have been from this book. And tune in, and we will be reading our next habits of Habit 4 and Habit 5 in 2 weeks.